What's up, guys? I'm gonna give it just a second to let a few people get here. Wildwood Jake, what is up, buddy? How are you? How you been? Huh. Alright, just a second. I gotta set some more light up. Is that any better? Kinda. See if I turn this on. That'll work. What's going on, Tree Life? How's everybody? How have you been? I'm gonna give me a comfy spot here to sit down and talk with you guys. Yeah, you don't want to see my unorganized clutter. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do these live feeds kind of on the regular for you guys on Saturdays. Don't know how long it's gonna last. I ran into a major problem and realized it like right before this live feed. My major problem probably doesn't bother you guys at all, but I am a very loyal fan of UFC, and right now UFC 300 is going on, and I'm missing it, and I'm kind of bumming. Hang on, that light kind of stood up. Let me. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So I'll periodically kind of try to check over so I can keep up on some of this stuff. What's up, Ground Pounder? Billy? Old Farts here. That's cool. Steel Cutting. What's up, man? I like the name. That was one of the, like, I was kind of thinking of something along those lines when I came up with, like, started thinking of my name. And, but mine kind of, I think I don't emphasize enough how, like, loyal my dad was to steel, and how, like, on a pedestal it was for me as a younger kid and stuff. So what's up, Dano? So yeah, that's where, I feel like I've used a steel chainsaw since I was born, so that's where the name comes from. But yeah, I dig yours. I got behind a little bit. Dan K, what is up? Awesome. No, not a whole lot. Yeah, we're just gonna do these live feeds. If you guys have a topic or something you'd like to discuss, always open to whatever you want to do. If not, we'll just kind of do more of a. I mean, even if you got questions, we could do Q&A, or we just kind of rattle off and rumble about what's been going on. So I noticed that old Dano has really been been killing it. That is awesome to see, brother. I'm glad to see some things working in your favor. You have definitely been on the grind, and you deserve it. So that's really cool. I hope everything works out with just your thing. I think I think you deserve it, dude. It's just really it's tough, but I feel like you've went through the toughest part of it, so you get to start reaping some of the benefits now. So, oh yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, grandfather. Looks like my going to town shirt. Yeah, yeah. So one thing I did want to discuss, um, and this probably would ruffle some feathers in the tree industry, but tree climbers and bucket operators, are they the same? Um, are they? Are you just if you're a bucket operator and you're not a climber? Does the opinion of a bucket operator always coincide with that of a climber? Is more kind of what I'm trying to look at. And I found myself in a so I found myself in a little bit of a situation. I drove like three or well, I guess it was almost two. It was 2 hours to my cousin. He gave me a call. It was like I ended up sleeping in a little bit, and I woke up and see he's called. He sent a message. Hey, want to see if you help me with this? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can. Um, I literally had just opened my eyes. So what's up, Jeffrey? So I was like, yeah, I'm down. Um, Yeah, it has been very, 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 very windy still cutting. That's what I was kind of alluding towards. The trip, the 2 mile or 2 hour drive there was insane. I was getting ripped all over the road. And then I'm thinking, then I got to get there and start rigging out this tree that's on this shed and over two houses and there's wires and I'm like, oh, good Lord. And I've only seen a picture and it's from a distance away. And so I show up and uprooted and hung across the privacy fence. Gonna be fun to get down. Yeah, still cutting. Those are always really tricky. I think those jobs are really similar to that the one I just did, the video I just put out, where you don't know where the compression wood's at, like, and the tension wood, so you can end up getting a saw pinched a lot of times. Things don't move the way you would expect them to. It's like gets aggravating. But yeah, I think you're 100%. Like they're always interesting though. I don't really watch bucket truck videos either, Jake, but I think I think a lot of times it does kind of they do kind of work together on a lot of things. You can use almost all the same rigging stuff. Maybe you're not going to have access to the actual inner insides of the tree, depending on your reach with a bucket. That limits everything. Your reach. But as I showed up, 2 hour drive there, I'm getting ripped all over the road, and I'm basically spazzing on it before I get there. I show up, I look, I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot of tree. Um, there's no place to put anything. It is very, very, very tight. But when I talked to him, he's like, there's a bucket there, and he's like, but it's not gonna reach everything like at all. I don't know how it's gonna have to be climbed. This that, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. I get there, he kind of sets the bucket up. We could have got it closer if we'd tried to fight a bunch of stuff, but it was from a distance, and which brought me to where when you're such a far distance, you don't have a whole lot of reach with a bucket. You're gonna find yourself probably rigging bigger, and a lot of these little things cross-reference other things that I want to kind of talk about. So the buckets there, it's a 60-foot bill jacks. Let me keep up on some comments. I don't want to get real far. Good to see you too, Jeff. You love the crane videos, huh, Jake? I'm not a fan. That's another thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of the crane videos. I don't know. I enjoy the actual climbing videos, but I'm sure crane work it can be enjoyable. Like it's not like I enjoy all of it, and sometimes I do watch crane videos. Sometimes I do watch a bucket truck video. Um, it just preference I find more interesting and more like entertaining when it's climbing. So getting bored with crane stuff, doing crane work is another story. Jeffrey has. Okay, cool. I'm caught up on comments. And you guys mind your P's and Q's. Billy will give you a timeout. He's the law. If you haven't noticed, he'll beat you with that wrench that he's got next to his name. Did a lot of crane work as a commercial diver, so it's fun to see it with tree work. Oh, that would be kind of cool to have experience with that machine before and then get into it and realize it kind of crosses over. So back to the where what happened. I drive 2 hours, whipped all over, spazzing on the wind. I get there, the tree has fully leafed, and it is getting ripped all over the place. There's no drop zone, no space. It's pretty sketchy. But this little 60-foot bill jacks, he pulls up with it. We push it as, kind of close to the building as we could, and which would be in an easy spot. And I got up there and did a lot of piece and trying to throw stuff. I feel like I probably maybe messed my shoulder up where I was cutting and throwing a lot of things that I should have just rigged. And I notice a lot of guys in bucket trucks will do a ton of rigging. They'll rig so much stuff. Um, that's easier on the operator. That helps them. So like I understand why you would do that, but I found myself fully reached out. I had big, huge sections going over the electric poles and over the neighbors that I couldn't get anywhere near. So I set some redirects up. I did some span rigging, and I rigged these huge sections out. And as I'm doing it, like my first instinct, you guys know me. I climb. I don't ride in a bucket. That's just not familiar to me. So that's all I watch is the climbing videos. Me too, Dan. For the most part. So a lot of crane works. Okay. Gotta say, I'd love to see a crane job, but I really don't like watching it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I absolutely get why they're being used, though. So, um, but I like the skill aspect of a lot of things and the ingenuity that gets involved. Like I just enjoyed one of August's recent videos where he had quartered the tree up, and I think he called it aerial milling or something like that. I gotta take it out. Yeah, shout out to Corey McDivitt, Arizona. So it's a pretty sweet hat. I've had it for years. But yeah, I found that interesting because it was different. There was people they were being using a little bit of like adaptability and coming up with an ideal to make something work. So I really enjoyed that aspect of that video. So I can any of them can be entertaining. I think it's probably going to get down to the editing and like But what interests me is the climbing. It catches my attention. So it was a big tree. Yeah, it was, Billy. It really was. That's funny. You were getting ready to say, "Did you see the last?" And I said that. Yeah. So I realize as I'm getting ready to set it up, I'm like, if I was climbing, I wouldn't rig that section out. Like it's pushing it. Like it's gonna smack. It's gonna at best it's gonna rub the electric, and it's gonna rub the fence and the people's gazebo and all kind. Like it's gonna be close. It's gonna take every space up, and you hope your rigging all holds. But as a climber, my instinct was not to do it. I actually ended up going away from it, trying to like cut some other stuff so I could think. And in the process, I ended up going back, and I'm like, I'm not tied to this thing. So there's where that big difference is going to come in. I hear from a lot of bucket operators like, you know, I'll get, you should have rigged, don't rig such little stuff, or you should have rigged bigger, or that tree's strong enough that you could have did this or this or this. You're never really going to hear a guy who climbs all the time telling you should have done bigger, you should have done. Those are usually bucket operators. And I'm not trying to slag on nobody. If the bucket gets it done for you, that's what's up. Go with that bucket. You know, I found that using a bucket when I did it on the regular, I ended up losing a lot of my what I felt was natural in the tree was not natural. I lost a lot of that, so when I came back, I was very rusty and had to do it. So, climbing something, if you're not doing it on the regular, you're not going to be great. Like, it's going to feel weird. You're not going to feel comfortable. So, I instantly thought, wow, that's interesting because I got a comment not too long ago from a guy who I don't know personally. I'll find out, but I don't know if bucket operating is all he does. I don't know if he doesn't climb at all anymore, but I know that is the majority of what he does. So when he felt the need to tell me, you could have rigged all that off of that tree you're in instead of sharing it between two, or you could have done this. That tree's strong enough, even though it's dead, looking. I know those trees, yada yada yada, and that's cool. I mean, some people don't have the best way of like writing stuff, so they'll come off rude sometimes and not mean to. So, John Martinez, what's up, man? No, I am not in Arizona. I am in Missouri, but that is from Corey McDivitt. He's one of the subscribers to the channel, and that's his logo for his company, his lawn service or landscaping. I think I do tree work, so it's a really cool logo. But it's just a sick hat. I've had it for years. I'm not a huge hat guy, but when I when I want to wear one, I have quite the collection. We got Schroeder here. Oh no, the man just showed up. What is up, Greg? My cousin, Senior Bollard. I set the Bollard up. That's another thing I wanted to kind of get to. The Bollard, that is so user friendly. The guys that I had that were going to be rigging, I don't think they've ever rigged before, and I could teach them how to use this Bollard from up in the tree or from up in a bucket with a couple sentences, and they had it figured out. They were asking, "What on wraps?" That's the only question I got after that, and they got pretty good. So I'm telling you, Greg's Bollard is amazing. Not only is it strong, does the job, like, and works perfectly, it is so user friendly. You don't get those little pigtails in your rope that you get from a porter wrap and that sharp bend that a porter wrap puts in. The Bollard's so much nicer for that. There's so many things that I would that you get a benefit from the Bollard as opposed to a porter wrap. Porter wrap's kind of complicated for somebody that's new, but um, this tree, I ended up rigging these sections out, and I just thought I'm like that's wild. I think that's a bucket operator kind of a thing that they they push the limit of a rigging setup or of a tree more than a climber is going to, because I need that tree. My life's dependent on that tree holding up. Where if you're in a bucket truck and you rig this big old section out, you don't really care, you know. And I realize that as I'm up there, like I wouldn't rig this if I was climbing this. But the fact that I'm not climbing it, I'm gonna send this massive section, and it pushed on the wires, like brushed them all, and barely fit over the fence, and like had to be diced up because it was so big on the. It was gnarly, but yeah, having a good setup with rigging and a bucket truck, I just realized right then, and I related instantly back to the guy who left the comment for me, who says, you should trust that tree. You can rig way bigger. Why are you rigging so small? I know dead elm, and it's way stronger than you think. And I'm like, no, I know how strong it is, man. I'm gonna check some of these comments real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for stopping, go all the time. So I did end up, getting that thing down. I like a lot of times with a little tip for somebody that's maybe getting into using a bucket truck. And this trick goes over into climbing because I do use it on the regular in climbing, especially when I'm alone or I'm doing a solo thing. But dog leashing came from when I was in a bucket. I would dog leash half trees onto their self. I would take the whole tree and I would blow the whole top out and hang it, because a 60-foot lift wouldn't get me up to most trees, but it would get me up over halfway. And if I had the clearance, I had these massive straps, and I would hang an entire tree off the stem, and then I would come down. And even if I had stuff below it, I'd just go a little higher, but I could hang the tree, come down, and process everything as it hangs there, and then go back up and take the strap off, push the rest over. I was doing that so much that like I got crazy quick, even if it was a big rigging job. But I've seen what a tree will hold, and I've hung entire trees off of stems. But that's not something you do as a climber, because there's no reason to take the chance with your life. When you're doing that kind of stuff out of a bucket, you're not risking your life. When you're doing it and you're tied to the tree, you're risking your life. So at, that's that's my opinion. I'm kind of curious what everybody else's is, um, but I also get it because I don't feel like I'm really that far away from needing the bucket truck to still enjoy the rigging and being up in a canopy. I get where guys use the bucket, and it just invests in your longevity. Like you can go for longer. I'm sure I'm not going to be climbing forever. So I'm not slagging on nobody who works out of a bucket. So I want to make that completely clear. But my opinion, a bucket operator will push things and do things that a guy that's actually physically climbing can't really do. You don't want to do that. You don't want to take that risk. So let's switch things up. Okay. Yeah, 100%. Do what you're used to using. Yep. When you're the one in the tree, it's your show. I take what I'm comfortable with. 100%. And it just, that really, really, really changes when you're in a bucket. I've seen this for years, and I know, because when I got back into climbing, I would want to rig like I did when I was in a bucket. And it was just, I was insanely nervous and scared when I was doing it. And I still felt like I wasn't going as big, but I was trying to get as close as I could because I'm like, I'm trying to be efficient. And it's just not there. You can rig big in a bucket. You don't have the risk that a climber has when he rigs big. So as cool as it may make you feel to say you need to go bigger, like, come on now. There's no need for one tree guy to go tell another tree guy, hey, you should have went bigger. That's kind of silly. But yeah, that is what it is. So the other thing, I got to use those proto sunglasses, and that was awesome. That was an extremely windy day, so depending on where I'm at, it was blowing everything right back in my face. Um, they work amazing. I'm a huge fan. I love it. I was sweating, but I wasn't sweating like I'm gonna be sweating. So I don't know the fog factor. We'll still get that, but hey, and if you guys don't mind, and it's not like putting you out, if you hit the thumb button, that kind of helps the channel out. And I don't know. I'm half tempted to like switch everything over to like a Patreon. I kind of sometimes YouTube just aggravates me, but pretty much ground pounder. It's most of the usual cats here. We had like 18 people there for a second. That was pretty gnarly. Um, my live feeds don't do crazy numbers. I don't even know what's the biggest one I've ever had. It couldn't have been that many. I think like one time Buckins ended when mine was going, and I ended up with quite a few people. But yeah, other than that, they're just my usual crowd. So what else? I had some other stuff I was gonna discuss. Rob, Rob's been killing it too. How you doing, brother? You doing all right? Um, let's see. What could we discuss? I got some time back in. Oh, the Rope Runner Pro. That is, it works amazing when you're using the right rope. Um, I think it's a very, and I don't know who exactly it was. It's one of you guys that gave me the info that says, hey, it's a very user specific device, or like user rope specific device. It needs to be a very probably like a more of an SRT style rope that's a more strand, stiffer, and less malleable kind of a rope. That would keep it so it doesn't grab as much. So I've been using it on the Cherry Bomb too, and it's awesome. I'm loving it. So glad that I didn't kind of back away from it. It's nice. I just, man, the grabbing it was doing on the other rope compared to this one, I'm like, there's no way that other rope was going to be that much different, but it was a lot different. So the one that I was using was a very worn out old rope. It had probably swelled a bit. So, oh, right on, Rob. Tell that young lady of yours we all said hi. Tell her good night, and we'll talk to you soon, brother. Yeah, apparently you can. That's weird. I don't think you can thumbs up a vertical live. I know mine doesn't show where you can, but at the top it's got the thumbs up thing, and it says 5, but I don't know. I may be wrong. I think you probably got to back out and then go a little smaller or something. Who knows? It's you don't have to do it if anyway. So don't worry about it. I just feel like I should ask. That way, when I'm like, YouTube's been like, your channel's weak. That's why it never grows. It is what it is. But I figured I had to at least attempt it. Yeah. I was gonna bring my gear in, so in case I got into a situation. Hey, can you guys give me 2 minutes? I gotta run in and check my baked potatoes. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna lose all you guys. If anybody shows up, you see the people raise, tell them to stay. I'm gonna be right back, and I'm gonna think of something so good to talk about. You guys, trust me. I'll be right back. I can't burn my baked potatoes. so aggravated. Oh my god. I don't know how you guys manage, but there's more people here now than there was when I walked out. You guys are awesome. Anybody new show up? So many different ways to fix a potato. Oh, yeah, I'm making. You guys, tell me if you guys know what a terrible tater is. I'm sure it's got different names depending on what region you're from, but here we call them terrible taters, and it's a baked potato. I know I wasn't hungry until I just walked in there, and I have this big platter of pulled pork that is like covered in barbecue sauce and brown sugar and like looks so good, smells so good. Well, you take a baked potato and then you put all the works with it. Butter, sour cream, a little bit of some cheese. Then you use whatever meat you want. In this case, I'm gonna use pulled pork, and then on top of that, some barbecue sauce. So the more I talk about it, the hungrier I'm getting, Dan. I'm getting hungry again. All your content is I'm just acquiring the equipment to do both climbing and rigging. Unfortunately, I'm at the firehouse and working, so I'll catch you later, Stillborn. Oh, no problem. That's awesome, man. Yeah, hey, anytime you need anything, you got any questions, let me know, brother. Appreciate you hanging out, John. Brandon, Rusty's Tree Care. What's up, man? The ones you, the ones you fix, or the ones you mix with water. Yeah, that's not a good potato. Like, yeah. No matter how you like, I have had good fake potatoes before, mashed potatoes that are fake, but it's so rare. Usually it's like paste. It's like drywall paste. So yeah, Greg is like my kind of guy. I can tell when it comes to food. He used to send me pictures of some of his food that he would have, and just clip a picture of him and his dog in the truck. And I'd get so hungry, he would send it to me. And a lot of times I'd be up like in a tree when I'd look at it. It looks so good, biscuits and gravy, hash browns, like my kind of food. But what you been up to, Brandon? How's tree care treating you? Not much. Been doing some storm work. Did a poplar Friday. Have a broken pine to do in the morning. That's hung up in another. Oh, right on. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's good. You've had some stuff to do. You've been staying steady. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree, Greg. I can smell you from here. No, I'm just playing. See you, brother. Butter and A1 sauce. Hey, hey. I'm an A1 sauce fan too, man. Old fart. I'm just gonna call you old fart, all right? If you want to be called something else, you have to tell me, and I have to remember. So it may be hard objective to obtain, but we can try. But see you, Greg. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, actually, guys, Greg's the reason I have that Rope Runner Pro. He just sent it to me. Like, I don't really have a lot of like disposable income, and so he had such a great deal on this Rope Runner Pro that somebody was selling, and he reached out to me and like basically held my hand through the whole thing, and I just couldn't afford it at the time. I couldn't afford it now if I tried, but so instead he ended up buying it, keeping a hold of it, and then sending it to me later. So I'll be indebted to Greg for the rest of my life. Like his generosity and the kind stuff he does is inspiring. Like I love doing that kind of stuff, and I always feel incredibly awkward or like almost ashamed when it gets done to me. So Greg's the man. All good, old fart? Right on? So what's Jeffrey been up to? Has anybody been out in their yard doing their yard work yet? Getting stuff together? I've been thinking about doing a series of shorts where I remix Metal and Woods channel. I just call them like Metal and Wood mix-ups or something like that. I don't know. But I thought he does so much silly stuff, like, and says so many silly things that it's like, and his channel's way bigger than mine. Maybe I could get some shine off of it. I mowed the grass today and worked on the chicken coop. Cool. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more mowing. I have some older, like elderly neighbors, and I actually have a guy that lives across from me here. He doesn't have any of his legs, and he goes outside, and he doesn't have a motorized wheelchair. He has a put like one you do the thing, and he's such an inspiration. And I love seeing him out doing stuff. But man, he was weedy. He was pushing. Okay, he was using a push mower in a wheelchair. He would wheel, and he would hold his tire so he wouldn't go backwards, and he would push with one hand. He would wheel, and he would push with one hand. Oh, on the other hand, has anybody found any morels yet? I've found quite a few. Me and my wife found a couple today. But yeah, he's such an awesome guy, and he had like 4 or 5 knee surgeries, and they didn't take, and then some infection happened. Then he lost one leg, and then he lost the other. He may have one leg. I don't know. I know he can't possibly. Well, I don't think he has. I think he may have had surgery and had them both. I don't know. I hate to say it and be wrong, but well, dude, working on the mowers. You didn't miss a whole lot, ground pounder. I don't even remember what we did at the beginning of this. Oh, we talked about the differences uh, with like the opinion and the actions of a bucket truck operator as opposed to a climber on the same tree, like in the differences between and like how they think. Like I had a recent comment left where someone at like told me that I should have just rigged it off the dead elm tree I was in. They are incredibly strong. I know this. I've done them for tons of years. I don't think that was exact words, but along those lines. So I'm like, really? Like, are you serious right now? And it was in the video where I can't even remember which one. Um, but yeah, I don't want you guys to go like look at it and leave a comment or anything. But so I don't know. So yeah, he says I've done them for years. They're incredibly strong. Okay, at the same time, I have to leave a comment back to him where I'm like, hey, just so you know, I had one blow out on me, and luckily, like, okay, I was. The video is called Speed Kills 2 or Speed Kills Again. I think it's Speed Kills 2. And it ended up getting like flagged because I have in the thumbnail, I have a little bit of blood on my hand where I stuck my hand through a stop. But, yeah, and I think that ended up getting my video flagged, so it didn't get really any views. But, yeah, I was up in a elm tree. It was a dead elm tree, and it was during a rainstorm. It'd been raining for like over 24 hours, and the tree had soaked so much of this water up that normally I would trust a dead elm tree to be pretty strong. This one was so weak and it blew the top out. I had literally kind of moved down to something about probably close to this side, and I was tied in on it, and I set the speed line up through the limb and back down and anchored it off right above my tie-in. My tie-in was like up in here, I think, originally, and then I base anchored. I went up through a fork and came down and anchored here, and then I hooked this branch up, this top, and I was going to speed line it out. Well, when I did that, I was like, I'm going to move my tie-in down below this fork. I don't know if you can even see the fork in this tree, but now you can. So I moved it down below the fork, and then I had the other speed line. It was anchored here. It went up through a fork and then out, and we had this one clipped on. So when it came over and it started to go, it broke this whole top out. But because I had it, you know what? I think, yeah, I had it base anchored. I may have actually had it base anchored below the crotch. I think I actually did. And my tie-in was right below it. So when it broke out, it broke all the way here, and I would have got ripped out, but I had just lowered it just to be safe. And it didn't smash the fence that was below because it had an extra, it broke here, but because it went up and it was base anchored here, it broke a bunch of like probably 5 foot of like rope length or 10 foot of rope length because you would double it, dropped into the system, and then it tightened back up again here. So I got lucky and it skimmed both tops one out at the same time over the top of it, and the stem literally felt like it was going to break and go over into the yard as it happened. Made for some really good footage, but yeah, I couldn't like I get what the guy's saying because I've done a lot of elm trees, and as they get dead and they like catch Dutch elms disease, they become like almost like concrete. They are so strong, but they have some areas that are very strong, and other areas, especially as you start to get out towards the tips on some of them, that they'll stay dead for so long that normal cases they get taken care of before they get to the falling apart stage. But I've been in elms that are like falling apart because they've been dead for so long. Nothing stays strong. Like that's that doesn't make sense. It has to die and decay. So like you can't tell someone they should have rigged off that dead tree because you've rigged off of a dead tree. But you rigged off of a dead tree out of the safety of a bucket when a climber would have to be tied into that tree and take that risk. And so, ground pounder, to answer your question, that's what I was talking about. I just recently did a job out of a bucket, and I found myself rigging stuff that I never would rig if I was climbing it. But because I wasn't climbing it, I said, yeah, let's send. So I could find myself relating to the comment that was left a little more. Like I get where he's coming from, but kiss my ass at the same time. Like that's not gonna work for me. I'm not getting ripped out of a tree or killed just so I can look really cool on a YouTube video. Um, I love you guys and all, but this is just a fun thing that I do. This is not real life for me. Like this, I mean it is, but like this isn't in the end all be all for me. If you guys don't like me, you don't like me. But I'm not gonna try to like kill myself to get your approval or for you to say, "Oh, you're the best." You know, I'm just doing me, and along the way, I want to help other people keep from making the same mistakes that I made learning. So you can learn faster than I ever had the chance to. So the Morels used to pick Asuki, Matt. Okay. Takis in Oregon though in the fall. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a guy give me what they were called hen of the woods, like these little yellow ones, and they were pickled. But we usually they taste they're so incredibly meaty and like taste like a meat that we do them. I deep fry them and they taste like pork chops. So a little bit of egg, an egg wash, and then into some flour is all I do. But they're awesome. You all seen Zacchaeus rigging in his garage? No, I haven't seen in his garage. A dead tree can be strong, but you truly never know. 100%, Brandon. That's where, you know, you can gain, most of the time, you're not looking to gain knowledge about a dead tree. It's, you don't need knowledge on it. Usually when you're dealing with a green one, you'll take in little things and you'll learn things about it. And you're like, well, this is a strong, this is a hardwood, this is the this wood, you know, and this is going to hinge like this. These are real easy to barber. You pick up all these things. When you're doing a dead tree, they're all just dead trees to you, at least to me. And you don't start to pick up little tricks and nuances from them as much as you would from like a live tree. So I kind of noticed that long ago as I started doing YouTube videos. And if you notice, a lot of my focus is on dead trees, which I can't even put that in a title anymore, the word dead, because then it like shadow bans my stuff and it doesn't get any views. So I think there's such a huge difference between them, and you can gain knowledge from them, but it's never going to be as consistent as it will with a green living species because the the variable of the decay and how fast and what process and what stage of decay that tree is never going to be just depicted by looking at it. You can't. So yeah, there's so much. They're so different. You can learn things about them, but you can't. It's not like such a go-to. Like, see, you learn something about an oak tree that you shouldn't do, and you can use that on all the other trees that you do. You know, all other oak trees and other green trees that you do. But you could learn something like, say, you cut this dead tree, and it goes a certain way, or it did this weird thing that you wasn't expecting, or it wasn't as strong as you can't then guarantee that that's going to work in the next dead tree that looks just like it, same species, because of what stage of decay. What's the reason it's dead? You know, you can start picking up things like that. Like if you know it's a root rot issue, maybe the wood is still strong up top, but it's bad at the base. You know, so you don't want to do a lot of hard pulling up at the top. Um, in reverse, it started to decay at the top. It's still got a good base. Like there are things you can pick up from it, but yeah, I think there are two totally different realms, and it's like two different books to reference. So yeah, 100% ground powder. It's like night and day for me. I wouldn't. There's so many things I do in a bucket that I would never do climbing. Like I was telling them, I used to hang trees, like cut them straight and basically in half, and hang the whole half off of the stem with these big toe straps I used to have. And I know what a tree can take, you know, a stem, you know, or how much you can hang off of it, but I'm not gonna do that when my life's attached to it. I don't feel like it's a fun game to play. 100%, Brandon. And I think it's probably going to be most guys. If you climb, you can relate that. And I don't think there's going to be a huge range of opinions on that, unless they're just like an avid bucket guy, or you're insecure. I mean, some people just have insecurities, and they're just not confident people. So social media gives them that outlet to get out their negative hating and stuff. So you can't. I mean, sometimes I get it. Like I just accept like, hey, hope that made that guy feel better to say that. Other times I'm like, yeah, let's have a war of words. I think this will be fun. But I try to stay away from the bickering back and forth. Sometimes I will just be silly though and leave a crazy comment. Like, oh, my short that I put out just recently with me and Dano. Some kid says this has to be a joke. Um, you didn't. It doesn't. Or he says you can't just watch a YouTube video and think you're a professional after it. And so I left a comment back and said, no, no joke. These are not good guys. Their explanations and the way they explained things in their video was not coherent enough, and their camera quality was poor, so I couldn't visually pick up the things that I needed to pick up in their videos. So this happened to me, and I don't want it to happen to other people, so I'm just letting everybody know. And I just wonder how this kid, when he reads it, is like, no. Like, sometimes you want to know the reaction from the comment you left. I wish, like it's like be there when he reads it and be like, "This has got to be a joke too." Better to be safe than sorry. 100%, Billy. Especially when you're talking about life, man. You only get one of them, and it ain't like I got the best one in the. Well, I got a pretty sweet one, but I mean, it ain't like I like hit the lottery, but I kind of did. I'm all right. Life's pretty good. I rig way more aggressive in a bucket. Yep, I realized that quickly. Within 30 minutes of being up in that tree, I'd been trying to cut and throw a lot of things. The trees had leafed out, so the wind was catching everything, and it was a fight. Like okay, this is what's funny. I was over the shed, and like as I'm over the shed, like me to you guys, there's like maybe 5 foot of shed roof below me, and then an open hole to throw stuff. And then like there's some wires back behind it, but I could throw stuff. But the wind was blowing at me, so instead I would throw it like 15 feet over the other part of the roof and out, and it was 1,000 times easier. But I would have to like fight the branch around, but just to get it up into the air and throw it, if it would have been dead, didn't have all the leaves on it, probably wouldn't have been so bad. But the fact that changes so much when a tree's leafed out, it also changed the way that tree responded. It normally wouldn't have been so splintering and pulling and like ripping and barbaturing, but because it's green right now, sap's high, they react totally different. And I think it was a soft maple I was in. I look at a dead tree differently on the species. Yeah, yeah, they're definitely going to change from species to species for sure. You got to go. Okay, right on, Jeffrey. Hey, brother, we appreciate you so much. I can't talk for everybody else, so I sure they do. But I really, Greg, you're the man, brother. Stay safe. Tell the family we're rooting for everybody. We're still praying over here. Oh shoot. Also, the live ones, they act differently on the time of the year as well as it's amazing how different they act. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna get. Yeah, it's kind of like what I was just saying, Brandon. Yeah, those keyboard warriors, like maybe it did make that guy feel good, but like at the same time, it almost hurts even worse when you look and you're like, oh, this guy's actually in the tree industry, or he is like a redneck that cuts trees and runs a chainsaw or knows two sides, and they say it. You're like, damn, there's not an ignorance thing there. Like, this guy should know, but he's not dumb, but he's insecure and he's not feeling good about himself right then. And watching my video seemed to make him feel even worse about himself. And I know when you watch my video, there's nothing that I do in a video that should ever make anybody feel bad. I don't ever want to put anybody down. I don't want to make anybody feel stupid. I try to keep things as simple as possible. I try my best to explain in like as layman of terms as I can, because I feel like some guys try to complicate things too much to make themselves feel special or important, when simplifying things will get your word out further, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. I know that a person's not feeling good about themselves, and I know this has nothing to do with me. Even though my video sometimes seems to be the video that just sets the person over the edge, I'm sure every other tree guy has them too. So we are a very standoffish group, um, and very opinionated. Just nowadays, people feel the need to voice their opinion. They feel like you want their opinion. Like their opinion truly matters as opposed to anyone else's. So from time to time, I kind of find messing with the trolls when they come on. Me too, man. You almost have to, or you get burnt out. I don't get burnt out, so it's like I can't just let you continue to do this. What I usually do is when you leave that silly comment that's rude or just completely being a jerk, I will pin your comment. That way, anytime someone watches my video, that particular video, your comment will read right below the video. It will get pinned to the top. People will read that and see, dang, he was crazy. I wonder if the guy who made this video responded. They'll click on it. They'll then read my comment where I'm gonna I'm gonna go as low as I can without hitting you with any four-letter words or being crazy, but I'll point out all them silly things. Then the best part is that, and this goes as a little info to anybody who responds to a wow, I've turned into a broken record. Anyone who, if I reply to your comment, it does not tell me if you reply back. So just so you know, anytime if I've ever replied to something you said, I don't get a notification that you replied again. You it just tells me when you leave the initial comment, and then it doesn't tell me anything after that. So if anybody thinks like I just stopped talking to them, it's not that. It's just I never got notified that you ever left a comment, so or a response. I had to one up insult a dude the other day. Probably shouldn't have, but did. Yeah, hey. Sometimes they need to know how that feels. And that's my favorite part about it. Sucks so much because I don't get to know when you guys respond back, because I feel like probably a lot of people that have replied to the reply that I gave them, and then they think I'm just a jerk and don't respond back. But I never get a notification unless I go into that video and go through the comment section and look. I'll never know. So YouTube doesn't notify that. But it is cool that when I leave a comment on the rude comments, no matter what they say afterwards, I never get notified. So, but I've had some really gnarly ones that people just hated my guts for no reason and despised me, and like started putting out videos about me and I don't know, some crazy stuff. But still, I don't know what I did to that feller. I think I left a comment that just really got under his skin, and then he was like my arch nemesis afterwards. So uh, yeah, it's never good when the wife tells you you're rude, ground pounder. It sucks. See, and Billy's like he was rude. Yeah, but you know, I don't know, two wrongs don't make a right. But sometimes I feel like it does, and I don't. I feel like never responding is why there's so many simps out in the world nowadays, and like how being a man is such a rare thing. Like women can tell you all day long that they want a guy like to hang out and like go shopping and do all this silly stuff and be their friend and like the same relationship they would have with like a gay friend, but they don't. They don't. Like those same women that do that, you probably look at their feeds and it's like all dudes working and doing manly things. So even though we don't get the respect we deserve, the working man ain't doing too bad out here. I don't know about you all, but like my wife's a smoke show, so I'm sure most of you guys the same thing. Ground pounder, I know. So the rest of you guys have yet to meet, but I just am confident that most true guys get good looking women. I don't comment on people's videos much. Yeah, I can't. For some reason, my YouTube's messed up. So when I go to click on a comment, my keyboard freezes, and like I have to tap on it for probably sometimes it won't come back on, but sometimes it'll take like maybe 60 seconds, and like I gotta tap on it like 30 times, and then finally one letter will come out, and then I can start to type after that sometimes. So I would leave a lot more comments, but YouTube, for some, I don't know what's wrong with mine, but it's been like that for a few months. Carabiner was clicked backwards for the rig. Yeah, I know. I would have done this. Yeah, yeah. My favorite one I used to do is when they're like, "You should have done this," or "I would have done this," and I'm like, "No, you wouldn't have." And then I'll argue for a long time. I'll respond, "No, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. I know you think you would, but you would not have done that tree any different because the only way you could prove that is to go do it, and you can't do it because it's already done. So no, you will not." You know how aggravated people get when you won't just accept that they're right? That's funny, Grandpa. She keeps me under control. God bless her. The world is a better place because of her. That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I'm a pretty like shelled off person. I don't like hang out with people. I'm not the guy that's gonna conversate with you at the grocery store much. Like I will if you start the conversation, but I avoid. eye contact or talking to people in general. My wife's my best friend. I mean, my dog, I hate him. He's my best friend. Like my daughter, my dad, my brother. Um, I don't have a whole, and then like my other, next closest friends are like you guys. So um, that's just me in a nutshell. I'm I think when I tell people that I do YouTube, if they know me, they're like, "Oh, I bet that's entertaining," because I'm not that guy. Like, but yeah, who needs them? I think 99% of the people that know me know that I have a YouTube channel and have never watched it, which is crazy to me. Like, most of my family know, but they don't watch. Like, if somebody in my family was doing something, especially most of my family does trees too. That's what's even crazier. But I would definitely support them and be like, yeah, that's my nephew or uncle or cousin or brother or sister. I don't get people. I definitely would have done it differently. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Hey, old fart, we will catch you next time, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this off, guys. Wow, you guys, it don't take me long before I just totally lose track. We're like a minute 14. I apologize for the long pause there. Like, I had to make sure that my wife could go ahead and eat because I'm gonna be out here doing this. I didn't have her to stop, but yeah, having terrible taters. Just saying that, I'm instantly starting to get hungry again. But yeah, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out, Billy. Thanks for always being here, brother. Ground Pounder. We had John Martinez showed up. Old Fart's been here. Dano was here. Dan K was here. We had Jeffrey. Um, Rusty's here. You know, all you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. If if I forgot your name, I apologize. Um, but yeah, you guys, thank you. And what do I have coming up? Oh, this next. Okay, so I put out before I end this. I put out number two, problem number two of three. That's what just came up. You guys seen? That was aggravating. That was ridiculous. It should have never been that difficult. It is what it is. Some days it just goes that way. But part three is crazy. I've always wanted to do this, but like the scenario never works to where you can. But in this scenario, a tree has broke. So a tree is broke. It was like this. It broke. So now you have to fall the tree this way, be in here in the no zone because this top is still hanging and goes all the way down and touches the ground. So you need to put a notch in the front and cut from the back and get out of there so this part, as this is going over, doesn't take you with it. It's fun. It was kind of a cool situation, but yeah, that's what's coming up. And then I can't remember what's after that. I'll look into some SD cards. I don't know what we'll get into, but I have tons of stuff for you guys. I just haven't had time to really get through it and edit some stuff, but I will. Thanks for hanging out. I have some dinner to eat and a UFC to finish watching. So you guys are awesome. Boy, that wind is crazy. Oh, is it windy at your place, Dan? Dang, man. Oh, Jay, what's up? Dang it. We're catching me right at the end, brother. I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's finally calmed down here, Dan. It's been so gnarly. But I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Jay, don't worry about it, brother. I'm sure you would have made it if you'd have known. Now you can watch it back and skip over. I leave for a little bit, so if you watch watch it afterwards, I left for like 3 to 5 minutes. So when you see me go out, just fast forward. All right. See you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Stay safe, and then as always, if I can help you, leave a comment. See you soon.